There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the Glories, written by Buckets of Stars and read by Eleanor Elizabeth. Summary. Christmas is a weird holiday for the Parkers. Peter knows this, has known this since he watched his uncle bleed out in front of him on that dirty sidewalk. But that doesn't make it any easier. It never has. This year, however, he has Tony Stark in his corner, and the billionaire will be damned before allowing his kid to suffer alone, especially during the most wonderful time of the year. Christmas is a weird time of year for Peter. The first holiday season after his Uncle Ben died was the hardest, filled with an edge of sadness that the Spiderling tried his hardest to shake away. Peter spent his break drinking practically his entire weight in hot cocoa and cookies, staring at the tiny sparkling tree nestled in the corner of his amazed too-empty apartment until his head began to ache. Nothing seemed to help, however, and the boy was left lying awake during the midnight hours, watching through his frosted window as a dust of snow started, the white flakes fading to black as sleep finally overcame him. He felt like Scrooge almost, stuck in an endless loop of longing for the ghosts of Christmas past whilst being stuck in the present, the uncertain future looming far, far ahead. Peter cried himself to sleep that holiday break, more times than he'd like to admit. This year, at least, it's a little different. "Do you want any more of Pepper's special sugar cookies, Bubba?" Tony's voice startles Peter slightly from where the boys nestled in on the couch, reaching up to rub at his eyes before responding. "No thanks. I'm good." A yawn cuts through the 15-year-old's words, so large that his jaw aches slightly. Do we have any more of the chocolate chip ones, though?" Rubbing at his now watery eyes, Peter watches as Tony scoots around the sofa, his own plate of cookies held in one hand, Peter's hot chocolate mug in his other. "Tired already, Bug?" Setting both the plate and cup on the coffee table, Tony carefully reaches out, scooting Peter's legs off the cushion before sitting down, drawing the boy against his side. Brushing a stray curl off the kid's forehead, Tony continues, glancing down at Peter with dark eyes as soft as melted chocolate. "Don't tell me you're going to fall asleep during A Christmas Story." Peter scoffs, leaning his cheek against the billionaire's shoulder. "It comes on so much anyways. Rerun after rerun. Still a classic, kid. You quote it so much, you can just recite the parts that I miss." Tony's laugh is warm. The kiss he presses against Peter's forehead, even more so. "We can't start it now anyways, Bambino. We gotta wait for Pepper Morgan. You can nap if you want. They just left the cabin, so we'll have a while." "May's still coming over too?" Tony nods. "Later, though. Her shift doesn't end until 8 p.m. That's what she said, right?" "Yeah, I think so." Reaching up, Peter wraps his arms around Tony's torso, nuzzling his cheek against the soft fabric of his father figure's Rudolph-themed nightshirt. Carefully, the older superhero reaches down, helping Peter get situated in his usual spot underneath Tony's chin, and Peter sniffles, eyes fluttering shut. "Take a rest, buddy," Tony whispers, brushing at Peter's soft curls with his fingers. I gotcha. Peter tries to respond. He really, truly does. But he's asleep before the words can even leave his throat, escaping as a soft puff between his teeth, and he's slumping fully against Tony, lulled by the gentle rocking and the sound of his dad's heartbeat in his ears. It feels like only a few seconds have passed before Peter is jerking awake again. This time he feels different. Too hot, almost itchy, his own heartbeat practically drowning in his ears. He's crying. He can feel the tears as they spill down his two red cheeks. He can taste the salt on his tongue as his mouth opens in a silent wail. Hey, Petey, hey buddy, shh." Tony's there, wrapping his arms around him before the Spiderling can even blink. Drawing Peter closer, Tony makes soothing sounds under his breath, one of his hands rubbing up and down the boy's shaking back, his other cupping his cheek, wiping away each of his tears as they fall. "Hey, shh. Deep breaths, come on." Sucking in a wet gasp, Peter lets out an almost cough-sigh combination that hurts his chest, and Tony holds him tighter, pressing a series of sweet and soothing kisses across his son's nose and cheeks and pausing at his temple. Speaking against Peter's fluttering pulse, Tony's voice is merely a whisper. "It's okay, baby. It's all right. Shh. Finally, Peter calms down enough to take a proper deep breath, and Tony sighs in relief right alongside him, leaning back just enough to cup the kid's soft cheek in his palm, meeting Peter's red-rimmed eyes. All good now, buddy? Not gonna choke again, right? Shaking his head, Peter tries his hardest to glance away from his father figure, a harsh jab of shame and guilt causing his stomach to clench. I'm sorry. About what? Tony's voice holds no judgment, only concern, and Peter swallows. For freaking out and ruining the movie night? Holding up a hand, Tony shakes his head, carefully guiding Peter's eyes back to his. You didn't ruin anything, Peter. I swear to you. Pepper and Morgan aren't even here yet, and even if they were, you still didn't ruin anything, kiddo. Got it? Peter nods after a second, swallowing down another dry sob. Tony brushes another kiss against his temple, and the spiderling leans into the warmth of his embrace, feeling the elder superhero's grip around him tighten. What made you freak out, though, bud? Clearly feeling the way Peter tenses at the question, Tony tries again, pulling away slightly. 'Cause if I did anything to make you uncomfortable or... No! Reaching up, Peter grabs at the collar of Tony's nightshirt, clutching the fabric with shaking fingers. It's not you, Tony. I promise. It's this time of year. It's hard. I know it's been a few years, but still Christmas without Uncle Ben, and... Peter's voice cracks, his tears spilling over again, and Tony coos, gently guiding his kid back against his chest without hesitation. Rocking back and forth slightly, Tony eases Peter through his next round of sobs, muttering soothing words of comfort, both English and Italian, against Peter's soft curls. When Peter's cries dissolve into sniffles again, Tony carefully lifts his chin, brushing the last of his kid's tears from his baby cheeks. You really miss him, huh, Bambi? Yeah. Peter swallows, rubbing at his eyes with his sleeve. Tutting, Tony carefully pulls Peter's hands down, replacing them instead with his own, carefully wiping his kid's face. A few years ago, it was worse for both me and May. This time, though, it's better, I think. Why's that, baby? Peter's cheeks heat, both at the nickname, said with so much fatherly affection that the boy feels like his chest could burst, and also at the reason behind his better year. Clearing his throat, Peter sniffles, ducking back down so his words are muffled, practically smushed against Tony's chest. Because you're here, with us, with me. Tony's silent for a few breathless seconds, his chest expanding under Peter's cheek. The arc reactor, a faint glow below his chin, seems to shine brighter for a few seconds, twinkling like the Christmas lights surrounding them. You know, Pete, Tony finally says, his voice as soft as the snow outside, but as warm as a summer breeze. It's better for me this year, too. You want to know why? Why? Because I get to be here, with you. Get to watch movies with you, and drink way too much hot chocolate, and sit with May and Pepper on Christmas Day, and watch you and Morgan tear into your presents at way too early in the morning. Pausing when Peter lets out a wet giggle, Tony flicks his ear and presses a kiss against his son's cheek when the boy laughs again. The best present I've ever gotten, and let me tell you, buddy, I get a lot of presents. Even when we get wrapping paper everywhere and you end up tripping over it and falling on your face. Faking a gasp, Tony pokes Peter's side with a finger, listening as the spiderling yelps. I told you never to mention that again, mister. I think Pepper has the video, actually. Oh my god. Covering Peter's mouth lightly with his palm, Tony ignores the smile that causes his own eyes to crinkle. We're done talking about that for the rest of your entire lifetime. It's now banned. Peter laughs again before settling down, wrapping his arms around Tony's torso once more, resting his head in his usual spot, and Tony sighs, guiding his fingers through the kid's chestnut curls, scratching at his scalp. Peter arches into the touch, almost like a baby kitten, his doe eyes blinking shut. Ready to watch some more movies now, Spider Baby? When all Peter does is nod, Tony clicks his tongue, getting an idea. Ignoring his son's questioning noise, Tony quickly reaches back to the coffee table for the TV remote. Clicking the button to bring up the menu, the billionaire scrolls through the channels for a second. flipping off of the A Christmas Story rerun just as Ralph gets in line to see Santa. What are... Peter clears his throat again, sitting up slightly. His doe eyes, reflecting the twinkling red and green Christmas tree lights, are filled with adorable confusion, and Tony smiles. What are you doing, Tony? Hush, kiddo, I'm not going anywhere. After a few more seconds of surfing through the menu, Tony huffs, glancing upward with an exaggerated eye roll that has Peter huffing out his own laugh. Hey, Fry, do a movie search for me, please? What movie would you like me to look for, boss? Turning towards Peter, Tony raises an eyebrow, brushing a loose curl behind his kid's ear. What was his favorite movie, buddy? Can be for the holidays or not, I don't care. Who? Uncle Ben? Mm-hmm. Peter flicks his eyes from his dad towards the television, biting at his bottom lip. He can feel his eyes sting, more tears cause his vision to blur, and the spiderling blinks them away almost angrily, gripping Tony's shirt even tighter. Finally, Peter speaks, his voice small, like a little boy's. He liked The Grinch? The one with Jim Carrey. That's one of my favorites too, Bug. Tony flicks his wrist upwards towards the ceiling before pulling Peter closer again. Resting his head on Peter's head, the teen's curls tickling his nose. Friday, if you would, please. Already on it, boss. Thanks, sweetie. Reaching back towards the coffee table, Tony brings with him Peter's hot chocolate mug from earlier, a light dusting of steam rising from the top. At his son's questioning glance, the billionaire clarifies. I made some while you were sleeping. Figured we could always use more hot cocoa, huh? Yeah, totally. Peter carefully grabs his mug from Tony, the little atoms in Santa's hats going from green to red with each slosh of hot liquid. He takes a sip, a hum rising at the delicious flavours, his chest warming. They're both silent for a few minutes, watching as the opening credits start rolling, the animated snowflake on the scene tumbling through the air. Finally, Peter breaks the silence. Hey, Tony? Yeah, Bubba? The billionaire glances from the TV towards Peter, face softening. You okay? Thank you for doing this. Peter sips his drink again, attempting to hide his face almost completely inside the rim. For being here, I mean. You don't gotta thank me, kid. Tony draws him closer, grabbing a spare blanket from the back of the couch. It's old, colours almost completely faded, and absolutely perfect, and Peter snuggles down into it, drawing his legs up beside him. But you're welcome anyways. You're very precious to me, Bambino. I hope you know that. I know. I promise. And Peter does know. He hasn't felt like this sort of a person to anyone but his Uncle Ben, the way a son feels to a father, and he basks in it. In the familiarity of Tony's arm across his shoulders and his heartbeat in his ear. Cuddling closer, Peter sighs. His next words are a mere whisper, but Tony hears them just the same. I love you, Dad. A kiss is pressed against Peter's temple, the gentle hold around him tightening. I love you too, buddy. So much. Hey there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. It's Ella, and I hope you're having a lovely day today. Wow, that fic hurted. Just Tony being a good dad. It's just, pulls on the heartstrings. I hope you liked the video. I certainly liked this one. It was a very emotional fic, but let me know what you thought and comment down below. Tell me what you thought of the fic, what you're just thinking in life. You know, I just love talking to you guys. You could also like the video, if you liked it, and to boost my serotonin levels. You can also subscribe to be notified whenever I make new videos, which at the moment is every day for Ficmas, where we're making a new fic every day in lead up to Christmas, all Christmassy themed to get us into the spirit. It's been a fun time. I don't even know what day this is now. 13, I think. Exciting. You can also join the Discord server. It's a great time over there. Everybody has quite the lark. This fun, this chaos. It's a good time. So I'll link it in the description below. But until I see you again, be sure to practice some self-care. Yes, bed on time. You know you're supposed to. And you've got to eat your 5 a day, because that's very important. And brush your teeth, because you you should care about dental hygiene, and also drink lots of water because hydration is important. And I will catch you guys laters.